All right, guys, we need to squash this once and for all. There are a ton of differences between posting organically on YouTube, right, your real estate videos, versus using paid advertising like Facebook ads, and using these services like Realtor.com and Zillow that we've learned to know and love, or maybe not so much. So we're gonna go over all that in today's video. Hey, what's going on? Aaron here from the Revamped Real Estate team, as well as the Real Estate Marketing Guys YouTube channel and the Real Estate Marketing Secrets podcast. You'd think someone that has a personal brand, we'd be a little bit more concise into one, but we've had a lot of progression over the past couple of years. So with all that stuff out of the way, like we said in the intro, we're gonna be talking about the differences between these two platforms, because these are questions, or really statements that I'm seeing people say on a daily basis that are not saying that people are wrong, but I think people are thinking of these two things almost like one of the same when they're actually very, very different. So now before we jump too far into it, guys, I think it's really important for me to give a little backstory as to like where I kind of started in the real estate space, because if I don't, you guys are just gonna think that it's like, oh, well, Aaron, you guys have a course and a program where you help people build other YouTube channels, and you're obviously gonna say that you hate these other platforms. Number one, that's not the case. But number two is kind of the background that I've come from. So fast forward about 4 or 5 years ago, I started working with a local real estate company. I worked for them for about two and a half years. And they were very heavy on all fronts of marketing, whether it was Facebook ads, Google ads, SEO, website, and then obviously all the other stuff like networking events, cold calling, just all the older school methods, we'll say. And they were really good at making a lot of these things work, because they had their systems in place, right? 500 plus agents within this brokerage. So basically anything that they did, they were gonna do it to an extent that they were gonna see success with it. Right, so I think that was one major thing, is like I've seen it all, right? After that, I started my own real estate marketing agency where we did mostly Facebook ads for about a year and a half, and we saw some successes with that, but we really quickly realized that working through Facebook ads is that a lot of times the leads, whereas as much as we can say like, oh, you need to follow up, and we can have our ISA team set meetings for you and things like that, it was still just getting to a point where we were almost like, we knew that the leads weren't gonna convert over for a long period of time, but we were also trying to like sell that to people, right? And not saying that you can't do that, and there's people that are watching this video that probably are Facebook ad agencies, but we wanted to pivot away from that. We wanted to give a little bit more of a solution that was more guaranteed, and we'll say like gives longer term results. And that's why we converted a lot into the YouTube side, and you'll see why, based on a couple of things that we talk about. So I know that was kind of like a longer a longer way of explaining kind of the process, but I want you guys to know that you'll never hear me say Facebook ads don't work, and Realtor.com and Zillow don't work. However, we know that there are different situations and different things to implement based on where you are within your business. So let's go ahead and jump into these things. So you're probably like, all right, Aaron, I don't care about you. I just want to know about the differences here. So let's take a look. So when it comes to, and I really broke this down into like 5 categories. There are other things, and we'll kind of branch off into those. But the first portion of it is that people that come from organic YouTube are always going to be of much higher intent. And what higher intent means is that there is actually intent behind what they're doing, and them reaching out to you. So because on YouTube, when we're posting some of these videos that we're talking about, things like but like the pros and cons of living in a specific area, or what is the cost of living in that area. When people are searching for that, the intent of them doing the research, what it's like to live there so that they can move there, again, the intent is a lot higher. Like people that are renting there, they're not going to search, well, they might, I guess, technically search up, what it's like to live there. But if someone's like vacationing in the area, they're going to search things like, visiting insert city, and they're going to get their information from there. But a lot of times when people are on YouTube, they're there for a reason, and they're searching for these videos that we're creating and then putting in front of that audience, as opposed to on the other side, there really is no intent for the most part. And I put usually there because, I think the statistic is like 10 to 15% of people on your friends list that you're putting, ads in front of are going to move this year. So you're kind of playing that like top of mind thing. But usually there isn't a ton of intent. Now, when you start jumping more into, that's kind of like the Facebook side, but when you're jumping more into like Realtor.com, Zillow, there is a little bit more intent because, they're on those apps to then, let's say they fill out an application and they want to see a house, right? Now, of course, there's other ways that you can go about it. For example, if for them to get more information about, let's say, more pictures or things like that, Of course, the intent isn't going to be as high, maybe a little bit higher than like maybe a cold Facebook ad or a Facebook lead, but the intent is still not necessarily going to be there, just a lot lower than, again, someone that's specifically searching for what is it like to live in an area. So again, I said put no intent usually, don't take that as 100% of the time, but you're going to have much higher intent on a platform like YouTube where they're actively searching for specific things. So that's the first part that I said, these are kind of the differences between the two. Now, the second portion of it is, where we find a lot of people enjoy is that it's free, right? The content that you post on YouTube is free. Now, of course, there's other like softwares and equipment that you can potentially use, which, you might be looking at like $20 a month if you get some of the softwares that we recommend. Now, of course, cameras and things like that, are different investments, but we always recommend, hey, if you got one of these things, then you should be good to go in terms of equipment. So for the most part, it's free plus like maybe some of the software costs. Then you're looking at the other side with paid advertising. Of course, you have the ad spend that goes into it. So if you're working with an agency or you're running ads yourself, you always have to put money into it in order to get money back. With the transactions. And then you have the service cost, right? So whether you're working with Zillow or with an agency, there's always going to be some sort of service cost. You're paying them $500, $750, $1,000, $1,500 a month to manage the ad spend, starting at usually about $500. I know when we were doing Facebook ads, we wouldn't start with anything less than like $1,500 because we knew we needed the volume and get in front of more people in order to then make a return on investment within 90 days, right? So that's where we kind of started. But when you're looking at these two, again, you have free on one side and then you have ad spend plus the service cost on the other, obviously. The next thing that we always look at is the quality of the people that we're talking to. Now, on each side, obviously you can see here we have the quality, on this side we have quantity, which is usually the case, right? Especially when we're looking from the sheer fact that we want to make a return on our investment, is kind of like what I talked about before, is you have to spend more money to get more leads to then make that ROI, right? Because if you're only spending $20 a month, right, you might get 3 leads. And statistically speaking, we know about 1% to 2% of online like paid traffic is going to convert into an actual deal. So obviously spending $20 a month isn't going to do that much, and why we need to spend more money to bring in more leads to statistically have someone that's going to convert over, right? So as opposed to on this side, as we talk about the quality, right? With YouTube, it's something where we're not going to get 100 leads, right? In the span of a month when we first start is what I'm talking. Now down the road, there's a ton of opportunity to be able to, branch up and start, depending on the market, start bringing more people in. But what we've seen from some of our clients is they'll get maybe 3 leads a week, right? 5 leads a week. And when we're talking about leads, we're not talking about just name, phone number, and email. We're talking about people that are reaching out to our real estate partners and saying, hey, we saw your videos, we'd love to work with you. We're looking to move at this time. Here's our credit score. This is the amount we have for our down payment, right? They basically tell their entire life stories and they're reaching out to us and asking to work with us. As opposed to the other way around, when you have the quantity and you have cold traffic, is you are having to go through more and more and more people and then follow up with them 100 times, right? That goes back to the the thing that I said about working with a brokerage, is they had their systems on lock, right? They had an ISA team. They were calling them 15 times a day. They were getting in front of them. So if you don't have those systems in place, it becomes a lot more difficult to do this at scale, as opposed to when you can use a free platform that has higher intent. The quality is always going to be higher. Yes, the quantity will be lower. But the quality, if you, and I'll ask you this question, it's kind of rhetorical. If you had the option to, let's say, get 100 leads over a month or get 10 leads and 10 of them actually wanted to work with you, and out of the 100, you were just following up with little to no avail, kind of a trick question, but which one would you pick there? Right? You're gonna pick the quality. You don't wanna spend all of your time with people that don't actually have intent to work with you in the first place, right? So the next portion here, I know we're going kind of fast through these, but I wanna make sure that I keep at least somewhat of your attention here. So the fourth one down here is usually the amount of time for turnaround, right? Now this is very much so across the board. And I think, on this side I put like 6+ months turnaround on average. I think industry standard for online cold leads is about 8 to 12 months. But of course you have people that see the ads that are a little bit further along the pipeline, right? Like, God forbid someone gets divorced or, someone passes away or whatever it is, and like they need to sell their house and they just so happen to see the ad. Or, if someone gets married too, of course you're gonna, you might get some buyers in the pipeline. But it is a much longer turnaround as opposed to what we're finding on the YouTube side. And again, this is averages, is there's a lot of people that, because again, the intent is high and they're actively searching for what it's like to live in the area, usually the turnaround is a lot quicker because they're actively doing that research. Now, you will always have people that are doing research a year in advance because they're looking, maybe they're planning to move there in the next year, the next 2 years, whatever that time frame is. But of course, the conversion, at least just what we've seen, is ASAP all the way up to just building the pipeline over the next couple of months, couple of years. But I think, you being able to follow up with a higher quality amount of people that are already agreeing to work with you, as opposed to hundreds of people that potentially might convert over. I think it's just it's a different game, right? It's a different game that you're looking to play. And the last thing that I put on here that I think is just kind of like one of those intangibles that no one really talks about, because you can't necessarily measure it, but it works as you keep doing it, and kind of the same way that I'm creating this video, is building your brand. Right? Building a long-term brand where you're creating these videos, your face is on camera, you're getting in front of people that are searching for you, and you're just getting in the back of their head, Aaron Martinez real estate, Aaron Martinez real estate, Aaron Martinez real estate. And you're just staying in front of those people, and it's all owned by you, right? It's an asset, it's a long-term asset, as opposed to on the paid ad side, whether it's Facebook ads or even Google ads. We didn't really touch on Google ads for this one, I'm mostly talking about Facebook, but Realtors.com, Zillow, those things aren't attached to your brand, right? It's like your headshot might be up there and some of the reviews that you've gotten, but you're not building a long-term brand. You're building up a short-term solution to a long-term problem, right? Same thing with Facebook ads. And I'll tell you from direct experience from what we found to be the best, the best solution for Facebook ads is doing pictures of houses, right? Showing luxury bathrooms, luxury kitchens, showing, the front of houses, the backyards of houses, right? And then to get people to opt in, we would say, hey, if you want more pictures, then make sure to, to opt in. And I knew it was just going to generate people that were just looking. But again, being in that mindset of being in that quantity mindset is you kind of accept it. But the only thing there is that you don't have the brand, is you just have a bunch of generic ads that pretty much everyone else in your market is doing anyway, right? You can go to YouTube and type in best Facebook ads for real estate. You're gonna get a bunch of videos, and guess what everyone else in your market is doing, right? They're all looking up these same videos. They're all doing the exact same ads, and it becomes extremely competitive and extremely saturated with the same stuff that everyone else is doing, right? So these are just some of the main things, and I know throughout this video it sounds like Aaron's just bashing the heck out of out of these other platforms, but no, let's explain about who this is for, right? I think paid advertising is definitely for someone that not only has money to not waste, but money to test with, right? Because you need to figure out what works best for your market. You need to test a bunch of creative. You need to test a bunch of different ads. You need to test targeting. And if you don't have that expertise within that realm of things on the technical side, and we haven't even jumped into, integrating it within your CRM and integrating it within, third-party ISA companies and making sure that your systems are in place. But that's just the first thing, is if you go into paid ads, just go into it with the expectation, because that's all it is, the game of expectations, going into it with the expectation that you're going to spend money, that you need to be able to have money that you're just okay with losing 100%, because you're testing things that are in your market. So, if you have money to spend, and you have money to spend without the expectation of coming back, you have your systems in place, or you have a team that you're looking to, offload some of the leads to, I'd say 100% jump into paid advertising. But if you are a single agent, maybe a smaller team, if you want higher quality leads, you want a platform that's free, and you want to be able to take advantage of something that pretty much, and two other things we didn't talk about, competition, right? Tons of competition over here, no competition over here, most likely in your market, I'd say 9.9 times out of 10. And then also the fact that, this content is evergreen. You post it one time, you put the right tags, title, descriptions, thumbnails, it lives on YouTube forever. This stops the minute you stop paying. This stops the minute you stop paying Zillow, Realtor.com, or you stop paying, the advertising company. And then guess what? You're kind of screwed. Because if that's where you're getting your lead flow, then it's really difficult to be able to justify continuing to spend money here, and also just having the expectation that, are you okay with, not losing money, but are you okay with not making money for 6 months while you're spending $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month? ad spend plus your the cost to actually run the ad. So again, with that being said, this is a very high level overview, a couple other things that I wanted to add in there. And then again, so if you're someone that's a single agent, you don't have a ton of a budget, and you're really just looking to take advantage of something that pretty much no one's doing, I would 100% look at the organic YouTube side, because you're going to reap a ton more benefits with honestly less money and in most situations less work. I'm gonna just throw a screenshot up here of someone that we're working with right now. She's literally recorded 2 videos. And in a matter of 3 weeks, I think this is what the screenshot will say, in the matter of 3 weeks, she's been able to work with and attract 3 active buyers. So people that are looking to move either ASAP, between ASAP and 3 months, and then also work with 3 other buyers that are about a year to 2 years out, which at the end of the day, it's the name of the game, right? But she paid nothing to acquire these people, and now those videos are gonna continue to work for her. She can stop paying all these other things, she can stop doing lead generation, and she can still expect multiples of people to reach out to her every single week, because she's created the evergreen content and the things that we know that attract buyers and sellers on a daily basis that is on YouTube that are already searching for you. So with that being said, this was a little bit of a longer video. I honestly don't know how long it is because I don't have my timer up on my camera, but hopefully this does give you some insights as the difference between these two. Now, depending on when you're watching this, this is on Wednesday, the 2nd of June. We're actually gonna be doing a full-on masterclass 3-day or 3-night event taking place on June 7th, 8th, and 9th. We're literally gonna run through everything from beginning to end of how to build a profitable YouTube channel exactly like this, and how we did it exactly for the client that I showed you a couple minutes ago. And so, day number 1 is gonna be all around setting the foundation. Day number 2 is gonna be all around the videos, how to edit the videos, the structure of the videos to generate buyers and sellers. And then the third night is gonna be all around how to upload the videos, the thumbnails that work in literally every single market, and then also just that process to make sure that the video is optimized in a way that you're getting in front of buyers and sellers that are already searching for you. It's gonna be super powerful stuff. So that is something that you're open to learning about and taking advantage of. It's gonna be something we probably won't ever do again. So definitely jump into it, but I'll leave all that information down in the description or in the comment section, depending on where you're watching this. And wherever you're watching this, make sure to leave a like on this video. Also subscribe if you're on YouTube, subscribe if you're listening on the podcast. All those things help us out a lot, help us out in the algorithms to let the platforms know that the content that we're putting out is things that you guys enjoy watching and actually helps you out. So with that being said, guys, Aaron here from the Revamped Real Estate team, as well as the Real Estate Marketing Guys and the Real Estate Marketing Secrets podcast, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.